Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. How's everyone doing today? Good morning, Jacob. Sorry for the delayed start. Had a lot of technology issues this morning. Good morning, John, with the live streaming stuff. Just kept freezing up. Good morning, Sterling. Thank you for putting in the earnings. Sterling, yeah, we had AAL was a beat. Nokia was a beat. Pepsi, this was interesting, was a misbeat. Good morning, PMG. Good morning, Patrick. What else do we have? What other things were I'm really? Dow Chemical was a beat. Procter Gamble. This one was interesting. Miss on revenue. Miss on revenue, which is very key. Good morning, Martinez. I can go through everything here. Good morning, David. Good morning, Options 22. Good morning, Royal Palms. Good morning, Heinrich. Tractor Supply was a miss. There's a Tractor Supply right down the street from me. Good morning, David Atkins. This rally is not a rally. Would exceed pre-tariff. Can somebody tell me where we stand with the tariffs now? I am so tired of this. Can we just get some clarity? Good morning, Anissa. Good morning, Tony. But that's where we sit. Good morning, Coco. Even if Thursday and Friday are my least. What? Good morning. Even if Thursday and Friday are my least trading days, are the days you trade the least or your least favorite ones, Coco? Comcast was a beat. All right. So, good morning, Harold. The yo-yo continues. Who knows what's going on at this point? I'm just waiting for some trade deals. Don't see any yet, but who knows? That's where you can't even plan our day now because, headlines could come out in the morning that are different in the afternoon, that are all over the place by the evening. We're in schizophrenic market time. And I haven't even had a chance to get my tea yet. So, big jump in durable goods orders month over month. It's got to be tariff related. Chicago Fed National Activity Index comes in below zero. X transports durable goods comes in flat, dropped. That one dropped, but the headline number jumped, which is big orders. So things with transports were pulled forward. Initial jobless claims still hanging there right at consensus. A little higher than previous, but nothing major. Continuous jobless claims dropping. So, better than expected. What else do we have? Nothing really shocking right there. I mean, everything's trading relating to the tariffs and the latest tariffs headlines. So, hello, Charles. Thank you for clarifying, Coco. So, did I say good morning to you, Harold? Sorry, I'm discombobulated this morning with all these technology problems. It took me. That's why I couldn't even get the live stream up to get posted. I kept getting spinny wheels of death on the Mac. Spinny wheels of death, and had to do multiple restarts and reconfigure everything. But that's not your issue. That's my issue. What do we have else coming out? We have existing home sales. We have the Kansas City Fed. We have 4 and 8 week bill options, and we got Kashkari speaking this evening. Tomorrow we have Michigan consumer sentiment. So pretty much, besides consumer sentiment, all the major numbers have been released. So it's just going to be off the latest tariff news and other headlines out of the administration. So the map this morning, mega caps now, not so down. Mega caps are mixed to slightly up. You have chips up slightly. You have some software up. Comcast after their earnings is down. So what else? UNP after their earnings is down. The groups, energy and basic materials leading. Com services and consumer defensive lagging, but nothing through the roof. I mean, energy is really starting to firm up again. Fed watch. All this because I just had to do another restart right before we went live. We are down to, I think, 3 rate cuts. If that's what I had before I restart. Or are we back to 4? 1, 2, 3. No, we are back to 4 again. We are at 4 rate cuts still. Fear and greed, still in fear mode. And the PE ratio still at 33.24. So still nothing. This sell-off, again, even on the rally, the market's not going to, it's going to get more expensive. Already went through, thank you again to Sterling. Now remember, I think I saw something yesterday afternoon, Intel's planning to lay off 20% of the workforce. That's a big layoff. And we got Google or Alphabet this afternoon and T-Mobile. Those are the big ones this afternoon. Tomorrow before the open, we got Colgate Palmolive, Phillips 66. So, but a quiet day pretty much tomorrow for earnings. Hey, Christoph, how are you doing? All right. So we had the rally and then the sort of reversal intraday. We came up, again, I was looking at this 54.75, 54.76 area. We spiked just above it and then reversed, closing back in the rotation zone, but the rotation zone is now flattening out. So coming back down, just spiking below some key support, just barely hitting on the 4-hour rotation zone and rotating back up. So key level for me is this European session or open low 53.55 area. We break below there. I'll watch for the gap fill between Tuesday and Wednesday. That gap fill will be 53.14.50. If we did break below there, this is where I will be using these little short-term harmonics because look at where the 50% is. You see this line right here, 53.13, and we had 53.14. Then the key level, if we did continue a sell-off, is 52.67 area. 52.67 is a 62.5 on this recent rally. So that's going to be key for me on any sell-off. On a rally, looking for a rotation back up to hold the rotation zone. On a continued rally, it's back to bumping this up just a little to the end of this clear path move. We really need to sustain a close over the next 45 minutes, 48 minutes above this 4-hour high. This 4-hour high, that's what I'll be watching going into the first 30-minute tradings. This 30-minute trading. This 53.98, so roughly 5,400. The key target area of, again, we still have some resistance right around here, about 54.28, and then the next key area is back up to 54.83, and then it's to the first target again, which we were not able to get through to yesterday, 55.30. So that's where we sit both upside and downside. Richard thinks Grok is way better than anything else out there in depth of AI responses. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that, Charles. You got in on a 15-minute NQ Head and Shoulders. All right. Same thing pretty much for the NASDAQ. I'm watching this European open low bar right around 18,595. We break below that. We have a gap fill back down to 18,359. Same difference what I'm doing here, using the harmonics to see then below that. Here's not to the gap fill, it's actually to the high. So you can watch about 18,432, then the gap fill, then 18,249. Close below 18,249 shifts it back lower for me. Until then, the key areas I'm looking at, we're trading right up against this area now, about 18,900. Then above that, I'm bumping my level down a bit to about 19,080 to 19,100. There's very key resistance in there. If we manage to plow through that for some reason, not expecting it today, but the next key target would be 19,567. The Dow, not much to talk about. We still have a little gap fill here to 39,362. But I'm not even going to focus on this today. I'm focusing on the S&P and NASDAQ. The little breakout move right here is got to get above 39,830. Russell, again, holding 4-hour rotation zone. If we break below that 2 a.m. European low bar, it's the gap fill to 1900. And then, again, just use your harmonics. The key thing on a closing basis would be 1886, roughly. Other than that, I'm taking this level, oops, not that one. I'm taking this level down a bit because there's some key resistance right there, about 1939. 1939. The VIX. Still hanging in here, still watching to see if we break below 27 with sustain to get a rally on. That's key. Or to the upside. And paying attention to yesterday's high and low is really what I'm doing. 30 to the upside, 27 to the downside. The DAX still pausing, hitting the second target, and it's just pausing right there at major resistance just overhead. So this is an area I'd aggressively move up a stop, definitely before the final target is hit. And paying attention to yesterday's high and low. Notes, caught in a range. Big reversal yesterday, now moving up, which means the yields are dropping a little, but everything's still in a range. We're still in this higher range that I bumped up again yesterday, so there's nothing really to do here from a longer term or even a medium-term perspective. If we do trade down, watching this key support at 4.256. Dollar index, again, we hit the rotation zone, the bottom of the rotation zone now rotating down, paying very close attention now to about 98.80. 98.80, see how we react there. If we go through there, going to watch for a potential double bottom pattern if we continue down. Other than that, if we pause here and then break above yesterday's highs tomorrow, I'll watch for a potential quick trip to just above 160. Crude. Still haven't been able to get above the rotation zone. We're still, again, nothing's been invalidated with the 4-hour head and shoulders. There was that potential double that went too high, so that's off the table. But other than that, it's got to get above this rotation zone to get any traction, but it's going into key resistance. There's not a lot of great setups in crude right now. Gold, trying to bounce after hitting the rotation zone. If it can't sustain here, then the next major support is back down around 3,200 to 3,220. If it does break above this about 33.80, we'll watch for a more significant topping pattern coming into play. Gold, again, is getting very tired, very overextended. And if you just look at the weekly bar, it's not over yet. But this is forming to be a potential topping bar. Copper, not much to talk about there. Completed the double pattern. Did close above the 62.5, but still watching for a pullback there. What else? Hey, Jake. Natty Gas rolled over completely also from the rollover zone you called a few weeks ago to fill this gap. The daily, I wonder if this will be a double bottom on Natty Gas. Natty Gas, there isn't a lot of... I'm watching here to see if it firms up around here, because if it doesn't, then I'm watching for a continued pullback after the next bounce. The next bounce is going to tell me a lot in Natty Gas. Yen, same thing as the dollar. Going to be watching for the more substantial bottoming pattern in here. Today is going to be telling, today and tomorrow morning are going to be telling there's not a great setup there yet. Euro watching for a bounce and then a more substantial topping pattern, whether it be a double top or a upward sloping neckline head and shoulders. Euro's getting tired too, but there's no topping pattern yet. Spiders. Again, oh boy. I'm really paying attention to yesterday's high and low. That's very key. And the high, when I'm talking high, I'm talking a high area about 544.50 to the high of 545.43. And to the downside, I'm watching yesterday's low, because if we break below yesterday's low, we still have a gap fill left behind. Other than that, same analysis as the futures. You can put up the harmonics from the low on Monday up to yesterday's high and look where the 62.5 is if we sell off. The Qs, same thing. Same thing. Very key resistance, though, at this 464.50 area. Above there would be the retest of the target area on the double. Then we break through there. It would be the still very key gap fill and the final target of the double in the 50 AMA area. Bitcoin against some pretty substantial resistance right here. Thing again needs me to get more bullish. Besides, we had the double that played out, hit above my next target of this 91,889. But the only thing that keeps me in the short term bullish is if we can get a close above 96,256. Other than that, I'm watching for a short-term topic. Gold 4-hour head and shoulder. That would be a downward sloping neckline. Don't trade downward sloping necklines because why? The trigger point runs away from you. And it can't even be used with a flat neckline because these candle bodies close below this thing. So it can't even be used with a modified flat neckline. That's the problem. So the trigger's moving away from you as the targets are also moving away from you. That's why. All right, what else do we have going on? The good old Tesla still caught in the range. Still caught in the range, still looking for rollover plays in there. NVIDIA, the invalidation point on the remaining target on the double is a close above 107.58 on a 4-hour basis or a trade through 110.09. Slight little bump up from the close yesterday, but nothing substantial there. So that's why we still have mixed signals here. With the chips, which are trying to do stuff now, Broadcom, which barely triggered the double. Broadcom, if it trades above 182.10, the double's over, or if it closes above 179.48, the double's over. It did not close above it yesterday. Paying close attention to that too. So, Fiserv, gapping now right to 62.5 for retracement. If it breaks the recent low, could drop a long way. Yeah, well, the rats at the 200 recently. That could easily, if it closed below that 62.5, retest these lows from earlier. Retest those lows from earlier, and then boy, if those don't hold, that could really be very interesting. I just want to see where this rallied to. Look at that. Gapped up above the 62.5 yesterday slightly and then closed below it. Then the earnings, which was a miss on revenue, and kaboom to the downside. So that'll be very interesting. You're correct, Sterling, to see where it closes. Can we have a look at AUR, Driverless Trucking Company, for a hold? AUR. I've never even looked at that. This one? Sure, we can look at it. Let's see. Let's see here. That's your major line in the sand. Other than that, I mean, you don't have a strong bottoming pattern here. It's just in consolidation play. I mean, if you're looking for something short-term bullish, I'd have to say it's got to get above this 680 level on a closing basis for a little pop. And then it's got to follow through and get a 790 would be the key target area to the upside. And if it can, that would be really key. That's the only thing to the upside. To the downside, I'd be concerned if it starts getting below about 575, and then if it loses this $5, I would not want to be touching it in the short term. So that's where that sits. Other than that, you've just had a whole lot of nowhere since last October. Little up, little down, but a whole lot of nowhere. All right, let me just peek back in the S&P real quick. Again, these are not fun markets to trade right now. You just got to trade the patterns, and again, wider stops, larger patterns because of volatility. and the whip side. And again, everything, you can't plan your day because who knows what the next headline coming out is. But I already laid out what I'm watching for this morning. Nothing's changed with this. I'm seeing if we close above this bar on a 4-hour basis, holding the rotation zone, then watching these upside target areas. If we break below that, going to be focused on the gap fill. That's really about it. Don't have anything else. Going to work on my technology issues and get through to trading day. Until that, I will see everyone tomorrow. Hopefully everything will go off with the live stream without an issue tomorrow. You're welcome, Charles. They're going to start doing routes through Texas right now, so wait on some news. Yeah, and that might be the key driver. That's why I still look at things from a technical perspective and look at those key levels to the upside and downside. With that, talk to everyone later. Bye for now.